the same time, we want you to focus. Now, the video that we did last week, they talking about, they trying to shadow ban it and stuff and keep people from looking at it, but that's a classic. That's a good video. I want y'all to go back and share that video with your friends and etc. because it has some good information in it. Now, this video entitled The Transformation of Time. The Transformation of Time. We have to understand the timing we're in right now because the fact that we're ending, we're going out of this dark age into the bronze age, and what we are doing is a transformation here. And you need to know that God have said He's going to bless humanity, that they're going to live like you're going to reign with Christ consciousness for 1,000 years. That means a lot of things got to happen. You got to go from the third dimension, which we're in, into a fifth dimension. And you never had that for over 26,000 years. That haven't happened since that time. So you need to understand what's going on. So we're dealing with a transformation of time. This is a time where God finna move you from mortal to immortality. You're going to move from being corruption, from corrupt to incorruptible. And this is what you need to understand. See, most people, you never hear this. You hear them in the Bible talk about Jesus coming up in the air, from the air, and the dead in Christ going to rise up out of the graves, etc., and not realizing some of them people been in that grave, or they've been buried over 100 or several hundred or whatever years, and them people done came back to the planet in reincarnation, and you think they still tied with the grave when they done been reincarnated maybe 1, 2, 3 times. So you got to understand this and understand that God wants you to know these truthisms. Now let's deal with this. Matthew 24:22. And except these days shall be shortened, there shall no flesh be saved, but for the elect's sake those days shall be shortened. Now what is he saying? See, we're in a period of time now, and we're in the ending, the last 3 years of what they call the Passover. The first 21 years was a judgment, and you look back, you see the chart, 21 years of judgment. We told you what was going to happen in those 21 years, good, bad, grievous, bad. It's found in the story of Joseph, when Joseph translated the Pharaoh dreams. It was good, bad, grievous, bad, deal with the cow, economics, good, bad, grievous, bad, deal with the corn, natural disasters. And it started the year 2000, from the year 2000 to 2020. And it was to happen in America. And America have lived all those 21 years, and we have showed you before time that's what that was all about. See, in Joseph's dream, you got to go in that dream, a Pharaoh dream, you got to go in there and reinterpret the dream to know what it's truly saying. You can't literally read it, because if you literally read it, it's going to enslave your mind that you won't ever know the truth. See, this Bible is made for the people's in an esoteric frame of mind so they can understand truthism. So you're not going to understand truthism by literally reading anything. So you got to know what the initiates knew when they compiled this book together. It wasn't made by no angels out of heaven and nothing. It was made by initiates that understood the arts. And they understood alchemy. And you got to understand the arts in order to translate this properly. And that's what we bring to you, the arts. Now, well, you got to understand that it said, if we don't cut time short, there'll be no flesh saved. So in this here Passover year, 25 and 2025 and 26, these are war years, and it's supposed to be the worst years that we're going to be facing. And these worst years are going to be dealing with war. War, first it's going to start, it said the east wind, so it's going to start in the Middle East, and that's where it started, 7 years. 7 years of war. It started in the Middle East, and it's going to continue, then going to come over to America. And right now, we know that in 2021, we had what you call, and it's going to go the same way. Good, bad, grizzly, bad. We know in 21 we had a preparation for war. Our senators and stuff like that was over in Ukraine, because this war is not against Ukraine. This war is not against NATO. This war is America fighting Russia. And see, they don't want to talk about it. It's a proxy war. America want to destroy Russia. They say they don't, but hey, look, America want to get Iran, Russia, and China off the scene. And we got that, we read it last week in the book, Judgment of America, that was written in 2006. And you got to understand this here. And it was the first year, it was a good year, 21, preparation for war. 22 was a bad year. Putin invaded Ukraine, and 2023 was a grievously bad year. Putin was still in Ukraine. You had some things flare up about Taiwan. You had events happening in Israel and Palestinian area and all that. So you have a lot of things flaring up to show you that was a grievously bad year. Even the pipeline of Russia, even BRIC nations coming together, and India and Russia and China and South Africa coming together to bring their currency against America. So you got this here boiling up, and then the next year was a preparation year, 24, and that's what it was. They kicked this draft thing back in, and then they were preparing, and now this is the bad year for them to come back, and 2026 is grievously bad. So you need to understand these things, and these things happening right now is in the time of the Trump 25 to 28. Donald Trump time, what they call the last Trump. And you got to understand this stuff. Now let's go into Genesis 41:39. And Pharaoh said unto Joseph, for as much as God hath shown thee all this, there is none so decreed and wise as thou, look at that word, as thou art. Now this is why when we went into that story about Pharaoh in the 21 years, and then the 7 years, and then later the 14 years dealing with the Exodus, this is what they're talking about. But the Nishas wrote this not for somebody 4,000 years ago and etc. This book, the Holy Bible that we have, was written and compiled by King James men and Shakespeare, and they was alchemists, and they wrote, and it was sent to America. So all this literature that was written in the Old Testament and the New Testament in the allegorical form is about America. If you read it literally, you think it's about over there in Africa. And remember, the first over there in Egypt, and the first Egypt was here, not over there. So you got to go and read some of Plato's writing, when Plato learned it from Sargon, and Sargon learned it from the Egyptian priests, that the Moors Empire started in America. Okay, even when you get talking about the thing about the Fez and stuff like that, the Fez cactus and stuff, that was in America. See, the Moors, the Hebrew Moors, Americans, that started over here.
The Moors are not from Morocco. The Greek Plato said that the Moors were from the Americas. Plato states that the Moors were America's royal bloodline, its rulers and indigenous peoples. But because of their war with the Moors in the Eastern Hemisphere, they sent their mightiest kings and soldiers to defeat the East. Plato also mentioned that a group of those Moors moved from the Americas and established Morocco in North Africa. But remember, Plato received his history from the Greek Solon, and Solon received this history from the high priests of ancient Kemet. So it is from them that we have learned that the homeland of the Moors is not Morocco or Africa, but America. Thank you to the ancient Kemetic high priests for this accurate history, and thank you to the ancient Greeks for preserving this ancient Moorish history. Because of them, we now have a chance to know the true history. We are using their historical records to correct the lies given today.
And then what they did, that royal went over there and established that Morocco over there. See, Morocco started over here, not over there first. And see, most people don't know that. They know things, they only talk to them by Eurocentric history. They don't go into the ancient Greeks and understand what Plato them wrote and etc. And that way you know more of the truthism. See, you ain't been knowing the truth, and you need to learn the truth. Let's go a little further in this here. Okay. Genesis 41:6. And behold, 7 thin ears, and blast with the east wind sprung up after them. Now what he's showing him is that in this, he's showing Joseph about Joseph using the arts, and here Joseph is telling you, it's talking about, in the story of Joseph, it's talking about those 7 years. Now you're going to see 7 years. It's not years, it's years. 7 thin ears and blast with the east wind. What is the blast of the east wind about? War sprung up after them. What? After the 21 years of the cow and the corn. Good, bad, greasy, bad, good, bad, greasy, bad. And you got to understand that. And if you see that and understand that these 7 years run just like the 21 years run, and you look at 2021, 2027, you can see that. Let's go on further. Genesis 16:11. And the angel of the Lord said unto her, Behold, thou art. Now what I'm showing you in this, you're going to see this word art spring up again and again and again. So you need to understand and keep up with this word art, because it's telling you something. All through the Bible, it's talking to you about a language, an understanding, a knowledge that you need to understand. Okay? Now, it says, Behold, thou art with child, and shall bear a son, a messenger of Messiah, and shall call his name Ishmael. Okay, Ishmael is an anagram for that person who is to come, who's supposed to be he's supposed to be at the time after Martin Luther King. He's supposed to be at the time what we call the Jubilee that come in 2018. 17 and 18. Now, for you to understand more about that, you got to go and study some of the lectures prior to this and before this one, so you can see it, because you're going to see us talk about that. Okay, and that person is to come. Now, most people say Ishmael came at Abraham's time and he was one of his sons. That's crap. Abraham is only talking about a bloodline. Hagar is talking about a bloodline. Hagar is talking about a royal bloodline. See, Abraham came into that Egypt area, and that Egypt area was in America. So he came into that Egypt area, and they had ownership or control over the Hagar type people, and the Hagar type people was the Egyptian, Hebrew, Moor / Egyptian, which is the Americans. Okay, and that's what it is. So that woman that's going to have that child, and this is a future event, it's not a past event, that woman that's going to have that child is going to have this Hagar person, because this Hagar person is going to come during the time of affliction. Now what does it say? And the Lord had heard thy affliction. So that means He's going to come, and this event going to happen at the time of the affliction, in which that time going to be between 1619, when America established itself as a nation on this soil, from 1619 to 2013. Now, and then you got another 30 years that they're going to be dealing with stuff, take you to 2042. Now, you got to know that. You got to know the Bible to understand what I'm saying now. Because you need to know that you talk about 400 years, and then another place in Exodus, you talk about 430 years. You got to be aware of that, because these things go together. And you got to know that this person is going to come in existence. And who is this person? This Hagar, this Ishmael type person. This Ishmael type person is the Messiah, the prince, that in Daniel 9:25 to 27. That's who he is. He also in Daniel 12:1 as Michael the prince. And you need to understand this stuff, because they're not teaching you the Bible like it's supposed to be. This Bible is supposed to be taught from understanding the events that's happening in America, not events happening way over in the Middle East. See, they want you to think like that, because as long as they plant that narrative for you to think like that, they got you where they want you. And you can never come out of that trap that they don't put you in. So you need to know that. Let's go on with Ezekiel. Genesis 16:12, and he will be a wise man. Now you're going to see them have this wild man. It's not wild, it's wise man. This is an anagram. You see W-I, you see that. You see in wild, you see W-I. But here you see W-I, and this W, you get the S with the W, and you get the E with the W. So this is wise man. Okay, there ain't no wild man. What God gonna bring forth a prince, a royal bloodline. Who is that main royal bloodline? It's not Ishmael and Isaac. It's Ishmael. He's the royal bloodline. You got the Arabs under Islam try to tie in and say, well, that's an Arabic woman. No, it wasn't no Arabic woman. It was over here. She's a Moor. She's a Hebrew Moor / Egyptian. She's not from over there. But they want you to think that because they done formed these three religions, Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, and they want you to think that this is a narrative fit with this, and they done got Jesus engulfing their right in their literature, and they saying that Jesus had Mary and all this other stuff. Come on. But they ain't telling you nothing about what the Gnostics were thinking and what the Gnostic wrote. They telling you what the literals wrote, and then later Constantine wrote. See, you got to learn these truthism, because if you stay fooling around with this nonsense that they done gave you, and you think what they done told you is the truth, and they done literally given you the enslavement philosophy and religious views, then you're going to be caught up, and you can't get out of this hell that they done put you in, or this evil that they done planted you in. You got to know the truth, my people. It ain't no time for that foolishness no more. And you need to see this. Let me carry this on now. Okay, in Zechariah 6:12. And speak unto him, saying, thus spoke the Lord, the Lord of hosts, saying, behold, the man whose name is the branch, and he shall grow up out of his place, out of the affliction. He'll grow up out of his place, and he shall build the temple of the Lord. Now, this person is, see, the temple haven't been built yet. And you got to understand the temple in two ways, levels of the sword, okay? It's the physical temple, but it's also the temple, the body, the mind. He shall build a temple. He shall let you know that God at a certain time is going to change you from mortal to immortality. He got to let you know that. And he got to let you know the time and that it's going to happen. The year of the Lord. He got to know and tell you that God finna make you come from corruption, all this corruption stuff that they done gave you, to incorruptibility, incorruption. He got to let you know that. He got to let you know when God is going to do it. And he got to let you know and understand, like Elijah said, if my God be God, follow me. But if Baal God be God, follow him. He got to be just that open, because what was the ending part of Elijah people? They followed Elijah because Elijah got rid of that false narrative that was given to the peoples in the past by the prophets and the preachers of Baal. That's now, my people. They done lied to you and told you that there's a Eurocentric man or a Jesus man coming to get you and resurrect you into the heavens and all that other nonsense. See, they gave you that when the Jesuit priests created that, and it was added to American Christianity around 1840 to 1870.
The rapture was, the Roman Catholic Church began the rapture to deceive the Protestants about end-time events of the last days. We were taught in the Protestant churches, in the Baptist church, the denomination, the Baptist church, we were taught that before the Antichrist shows up, the churches are going to be raptured. The Christians are going to be raptured up out of here. That's what we were taught. All right. And so this is what the Roman Catholic Church did to try to deceive the whole world through Christianity about this rapture. Now, this guy named Ribera, he was a Chilean Jesuit priest. It started with this guy named Ribera. That's how the rapture doctrine started in the 1800s. It started by this Jesuit priest named Ribera. Okay, now after Ribera, this guy named Emmanuel Lacunza comes along. Emmanuel Lacunza comes along, and he starts to pull from a lot of the teachings of Ribera. Now Emmanuel Lacunza then starts to write this book called The Coming of Messiah in His Glory and Majesty. Okay, so he spent most of his life writing this book under another name. So Emmanuel Lacunza, pulling this rapture doctrine and this teaching from Ribera, started to write this book under another name, Rabbi Ben Ezra. He was supposed to be this Jew, this learned Jew who converted into Christianity. Now I need y'all to catch that, because don't you see how Judaism and Christianity operates together? Now this is supposed to be a Jewish person who converted to Christianity, right? And he's learning from a Jesuit priest. Okay, so you see how Roman Catholicism, Christianity, and Judaism all falls right under the mother church? Well, anyway, he spent most of his time writing this book, all right, called The Coming of Messiah in His Glory and Majesty, and he published this book in 1812. So Emmanuel Lacunza wrote under the assumed name Rabbi Ben Ezra, all right? Now, from Emmanuel Lacunza, Rabbi Ben Ezra, from him, after he publishes this book in 1812, this guy named Edward Irving comes along. He was born in 1792. He comes along, he falls in love with Emmanuel Lacunza's Rabbi Ben Ezra's book, The Coming of Messiah, The Coming of Messiah in His Glory and Majesty. Edward Irving falls in love with this book. So Edward Irving, he comes along and he takes this book and he translates it into English in 1827. And so now Edward Irving, what he does is he starts to hold a lot of these Bible conferences emphasizing Jesus coming to rapture the church. All right. This is 1827. In 1830, this girl named Margaret MacDonald goes into a trance in one of the services of Edward Irving. She falls into this trance and she says that she had this prophetic dream of this second coming of this Jesus, right? Margaret MacDonald. Now, this is in 1830. That same year that Margaret MacDonald had this prophetic dream, as she went into trance in this church, this guy named John Darby. Now, John Darby picks up this rapture doctrine. Now, when John Darby picks it up, he starts to teach this rapture doctrine through what you call futurism, which was developed into a system of prophetic teaching called dispensationalism. All right. So now, all the way from Ribera, this Chilean Jesuit priest, the rapture doctrine comes all the way down to this guy named John Darby in 1830. And the rapture doctrine came to the United States of America and Canada in between 1840 and 1870.
But see, it ain't always been there, but they teach you in the churches, and your preacher preach it because he don't know no better. Okay? And you got to see this now. You got to see this. Because you need to know that their temple is going to be built, but it's not going to be built over there. It's going to be built over here. See, at one time, you got to remember, they show you the maps, and you see the map. The east is there, and the west is there, and the north is here, and the south is there. But they changed the maps. See, this really was the east, and over there was the west, and the north was where the south at. But see, they ain't telling you that, and you ain't learning that because your educational system is lying to you and giving you what those people want you to know that want to keep you in a voluntary slavery. You're not learning truth. You're learning lies. You're learning how to be workers, not creators. And God finna change that. See, there's cultures that have been here in the past that have had certain vast knowledge and etc., but then they destroyed it. They had recess because they don't want you to know that you had advanced culture on this nation, on this soil. You had advanced culture not only this nation and soil, but all around the world. But they destroyed it. And they give you the Darwin theory. and you fall for it because they tell you that believe it, and they control you with the weapons and the guns and make you follow their system by using the what they call the slave patrol. And that slave patrol is rooted in what it is, and now it's called the police. And it's called the policies of your government, or policies of your judicial system. You got to get it now. Let's go on, because I don't want this to be long at all. Isaiah 11:1-2. And there shall come forth a rod out of the stem of Jesse. Now they are biased in this because the rod don't come out of a man. This is supposed to come from a woman. So it's not about Jesse, Jesse. It's about Jesse. And inside that Jesse is this. Jesse is a anagram, and inside Jesse is Esed. So this person who's going to be coming about at that time, at that Jubilee of 2017 and 18, that are to be a part of this paradigm shift, his mama name is Esed.
The woman, if you look at the man, you have nipples, I have nipples. Your nipples work, mine don't. Why is that? If you look at a vagina and a penis, why is a penis a actual erected vagina? You know, you have ovaries, I have testicles that have failed. You know, you look at your lips all the way to your clitoris is what actually makes the penis shaft. Everything about us is a mutation of a female, and then all cells start off phenic or start off in a female state until it goes to 6 weeks, and then 6 weeks it creates something called the Y chromosome, and then the Y chromosome actually ends up with the X chromosome, and these things is what give birth into the male, and this when you start seeing the vagina metamorphosize into a penis. So all embryos start off female.
So the woman determines the sex of the...
Of course, it's called the mitochondria DNA, the mitochondria gene, the mitochondria Eve gene. Without mitochondria, we have no life, because the mitochondria is what yields us ATP and energy for we can have vitality to live our everyday life. Everything about the black woman screamed God. Everything about her, but everything about the black man screamed God as well, because we come from the black woman. All messiahs, all kings, all queens, all great people, all the ancestors that did amazing things. Malcolm X, Marcus Garvey, John Henrik Clark, Yochanan Ben Yosef, Martin Luther King, didn't they come from a vagina?
Absolutely.
So to even build a beautiful kingdom of kings and of gods and of people that's in professorism, people that teach philosophy, they have to come through that black woman, period. And then when you start getting to other races, the black woman is the only woman that can birth any other race. Can't no other race birth the black woman.
Very true.
Okay, now you only gonna know this through the arts. That's why I'm telling you about the arts over here. You got to know the arts. How you've been taught the Bible by literally reading something. That's the Eurocentric narrative. That's their control narrative, to keep you in control, or keep you following that, thus they could have rule over you. Let me say this here. I'm not against white folks. Oh no, because I got mixed raising my family. I'm not against that. I'm about truthism. But you got to remember, they didn't just started doing what they do. They've been doing this for a long time. And what it is, they have fixed it. And Washington, even Washington said that 200 years from the time that he was talking, we're going to get them to forget who they really are. See, Washington knew the Moors was from here. Washington knew these people were Hebrews. He knew all that. But they worked the system where you will forget that. They controlled the educational system and taught you their ideology and their narrative of what is and what ain't. And you still under that system. So if you're going to pass a grade or get your degree or your diploma, you only going to get it if you follow what they say and you remember the way they say it or the way they teach it. Thus you being programmed. And that's not good, because God is going to bring you out of that. He's going to bring you out of that, and this is the time to bring you away from that. And you got to understand that. Okay, let's move on now. He said, and the branch shall grow out of her, not his root, her root. Okay? You got to see that. You got to grow out of her root. And this is the part where you see Plato talk about who was over here on this land. And it was a royal bloodline over here. See, Morocco and that environment or that family was over here. Then they went over there and established that part in Africa. That's how Morocco got over there. It started over here and it ended up over there. Now, Israel, Isaiah 11:2. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, the Spirit of knowledge and of the year, not fear, and of the year of the Lord. See, he have to know the year of the Lord. He got to know when thought is coming, or thought have brought his presence in the midst of him, in the midst of the people, that you will understand thought. See, you didn't know of thought before this organization. You might have known about thought in his Egyptian ties, but you didn't know thought in the Bible until this organization brought thought to you around 2017, 16, 17, 18. That's when you heard about thought in the Bible. Before then, you didn't know, because you didn't know how to work the ox and the anagram. So you didn't know that thought exists. And right now, church folks don't know that thought is in the Bible. Thought is Melchizedek. And they don't know all this stuff, and they need to learn this. Now, let's move this on. Revelation 7:1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth. Always remember, earth means Turtle Island. Turtle Island means America when you look in the Bible. He said, standing on 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds. That's war. Holding the 4 winds of the earth. 4 winds of the earth. Keeping war off America. Thought, the wind shall not blow on the earth, shall not blow on America. See, God holding the devastation off America, because God got to do something with the American people. God got to do something with these people. He got to wake these peoples up. He got to show them something that like Elijah had to show them. They got to see a miraculous work happen from the Lord through his messenger. And he's going to do that. And he's letting you know that. That's why I say go back and listen to that last week video so you understand what's really happening. Now let's follow this on up. And thought, the wind shall not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any trees. Now Revelation 7:3, saying, hurt not the earth, hurt not America, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we, listen to what he's saying now, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their forehead. Listen at it now, in their forehead. Seal the servants of God in their forehead. That means a Kundalini awakening in their foreheads. Okay? That means changing them to a supernatural, in a supernatural transformation. Moving them from mortal to immortality. Okay? Moving them from corruptible to incorruptible. They're going to learn truth. They're going to be, this miraculous event is going to happen. This is why you hear it in Thessalonians. This is why you hear it in Corinthia. That they will come out of their graves. They'll resurrect from the dead. They'll come from the sleep. This is what it's about. This is what's going to happen to you, my people. And America's going to see it. And you got to understand what's going on. And then he said this here, okay, Revelation 7:4. And I heard the number of them was sealed. And there was sealed, listen to it carefully now, 100, listen there, 140, listen at 40, and 4,000. Okay, now when you add that up, you got 100 plus 40 plus 4,000 equal 4,140. They finna go into a supernatural. These people is finna go into a supernatural life. Okay, where death don't have no stain over them, no power over them. They fear neither man nor the devil. Your system don't scare them, because your system can't kill them. And your system can't stop them because they have the power. Like Simeon, that's why I say go look at the last week video. Like Simeon Toko had the power to call cherubims down against the Belgian army. And the Belgian army shot them and did certain things and could not even hurt them. And one of those cherubim had the power with one hand to sling a 5-ton truck like it was nothing down the road. See, this is what's been occurred. See, God got an army out there. And when you hear them talk about Jesus, that wasn't no Jesus 2,000 years ago that had an army, that they talk about had an army that he could call. No. That's about the Jesus of the future that have an army that God had showed them that he could call the cherubims. See, you don't realize what you're messing with. You don't realize the power that a prophet have, a true Bible prophet have, that been written about in the Bible. You don't realize that. You don't realize that God not only gave the prophet power, but he have given 4,140 individuals that power. So you're going to have your landmass that God have said here. And he showed Joshua, you're going to have that territory. You're going to have your nation on America's soil. You will have that because you have to build that kingdom of God starting from this land. And see, you're not learning this in your churches because you got a false narrative. And God gonna wake you up. So you are like those peoples of Elijah time before Elijah showed them the miracle. You were sitting there saying, I don't know. Let's see what you got, Elisha. And I'm here to tell you that God got this one, and you're going to see it in the next 2 years. Just hold on. You're going to see this one. See, because Elijah is an anagram for that messenger that is to come at our time. And you need to understand that. Let's go on down. Let's go on down. 7:4. And I heard a number of them was sealed, and there was sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Revelation 7:9. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindred and peoples and tongues stood before the throne and before the Lamb, before the Son of Man, the branch, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands. See, these Elijah time, these people at Elijah time, these people at the Son of Man time, these people at the Messiah the Prince time, these people at our time is going to wake up. And that's why I say they're going to have on white robes and palms in their hands, because they're going to realize God is here working and his presence is upon mankind. And you got to understand that, my people. You got to understand it. Let's move on now. Let's move on with this. Revelation 18:10. Standing afar off for the year of her torment, saying, at last, that great city, which is nation, Babylon, which is America, that mighty city, that mighty nation, for in 1 hour, which is 1 hour, you understand that's 42 years. You understand that one day of the Lord is like 1,000 years. So you divide 1,024 into 1,000 to give you 42 years. For 1 hour is thy judgment coming. That's from the year 2000 to the year 2042. And you got to understand, if you understand that the time from the 430 years from the time that it said they'll dwell in Egypt, that's from 1619, when they sent the law to establish the first nation on American soil. 430 years from that, which is 360 days a year, and you count that, you'll know that it's gonna, and you got to convert that into our years, and you're gonna find out that takes you to that same time, 2042. So there's no confrontation in the Bible when you're using the arts. You're gonna learn these truthisms, and you're gonna know that. Now, I want to talk about our people. We need to talk about our people. Okay. Steve Coleman. Thank you, Steve, because this is a gift, and I thank you for it. Okay. Along with some of the others as well. So I think his brother is here with us trying to help build this organization. He's Minister Steve Coleman. You can look at some of the videos and see Steve in some of the videos. Miss Shirley Oliver, you can also see her in some with Sister Corinthia, Minister Corinthia. We call her the mother of the church because she's been diligently here as a mother to the organization. Okay. Marcia Gordon is also on the videos and we're talking about the cooking and the food, and she helping us learn how to eat properly, and that's very important. On the scroll through the videos and you'll see Marcia Gordon on there telling you about the food and what you need to understand. Okay. Marcellus Jackson, Adrian Gennaro, Antoinette McMullen, Leon James, Tamira Fennell, Marwin G., Wanda Priester, Robert Cromwell, and also his wife Joyce Cromwell, Michael Corwin, Amelia St. Clair, Joshua Hughes, Demarcus Change and his wife Janice Change, Lord Hill, Jeremiah Brown, Adrian Herman, Carolyn Jorman, William Curtis. Also, I want to bring him up, Larry Austin, okay, up as well. Okay, Larry Austin. I don't want to forget him. I meant to write him here on the board. Marcus Sanders, Damon Wheeler, Wesley Cedars, Carlos Hughes, Kimberly Jackson, Rashawn Brown, Audrin Lawrence, Jason Milligan, Theotis White, and Theotis White, we thinking about you. Theotis always make me smile when he send certain pictures and stuff like that, and comments and Bible verses and etc. He will send you some Bible verses because he's very active in what he's doing and how he feels about the organization. Sterling Smith and Shirley Dawson. These are individuals. Now, if I don't have your name on here, don't worry about it. I got it on the pad. I want y'all to see. I put a lot of names on this pad, and I only could go just so far. So next time I got to put all these names on here. So if you hear your name now, you don't hear it next week, don't worry about it. Next time, don't worry about it. You hear it. And all these names have to go on there. So we got to understand. I told you I was going to start putting all these names on here so y'all know that, hey, we appreciate you. And we're looking for you to even help the organization even more. But we thank you for what you have done. You got to be thankful for what you have done. And it's very important. Now, you make your donations. Like I say, you make $1,000, $500, $300, $100, $50, $25, etc. We are asking for your donation. We ask for your donation that you could give a healthy donation to this organization to help this organization grow. We always say we do not ask for tithes because tithes are your taxes. Tithes are your investment. So we are not about tithes, but we are about offerings. And we believe that we give you a general idea on offerings. that you could be able to give and help us grow. Now, you can make these offerings to Louis Armstrong Ministry at 7536 Jane Lane North, Jacksonville, Florida 32210, or Crossrock Incorporated with the same address, 7536 Jane Lane North, Jacksonville, Florida 32210, or you could go with Crossrock with Givelify on your mobile app under Charitable. You also could go with PayPal at ArmstrongLouisJ@gmail.com. That's PayPal at ArmstrongLouisJ@gmail.com. Also, many go also on Cash App. You could come with us with Cash App. At Cash App at $SWAU 1954. That's Cash App $SWAU 1954. And I'd like to say a prayer. Heavenly Father, thank you for all that you have done for this organization. Thank you for these revelations that you have blessed us with. And we like to have many, many, and many more revelations to give to the mass of your people. Thank you. And we say in the name of the Lord God, Thor, and the God Allah,